Yastyatvarupamadhyam prabhavati jagataha anekadha anugrahaya prakshena klesha Vishama Vishadharaha Aneka Vaktra Subhogi Sarvajnana Prasutihi Bhojaga Parikaraha Pritaye Yasya Nityam Devo Ahishaha Savovyat Sita Vimalatanuhu Yogado Yogayuktaha Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakarotam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjalinanatosmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankhachakrasidharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Srimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha Patanjala Mahabhashya Charaka Pratisamskritaihi Manovakaya Doshanam Hatre Ahipataye Namaha Bhashya Krit Sutra Krit Chapi Nirmalantam Surupinam Dhyataram Shripatir Nityam Patanjalim Namamyaham Brahmacharya Pratisthayam Virya Labhaha. So, my dear friends, we are in the second chapter, and last time we saw the sutra number 37, where we talked about Asteya Pratisthaya Sarva Ratna Upasthanam. When we are practicing the concept of Asteya, where we are not taking or coveting what belongs to others, Sarva Ratna Upasthanam, all the jewels will come close to you and stay with you. That's what Patanjali has given us as a guarantee. Now we go to the next yama, that is called Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya Pratisthaya Virya Labhaha. As you all know, many of the yamas are concerned with relationship that we are having with people. Whether it's ahimsa, satyam, asteyam, brahmacharya or aparigraha, most of them are concerned with the social relationships we are sharing with different people. And an important part of such kind of relationship is intimate relationship with a partner. Now, whether this partner is a person who is our official wife or husband or any other way you want to express it in a legal manner, or whether it is an informal relationship where there is some kind of deep and intimate connection. This concept of brahmacharya concerns that. It's very important to understand this sutra very carefully, because there is a lot of wrong understanding about these kind of topics. First and foremost, you have to understand that perhaps at the time of Patanjali's Yogasutra, the concept of a marriage did not necessarily exist. When you look at many of the words that are used in very ancient texts, they don't use the word husband or wife. They are mostly using a very beautiful word that is called sokha. Sokha is a very fascinating word. In English, it translates very badly as consort, which is not really a very good word. The word sokha is a very fascinating word. Sokha saptapada. Sokha is somebody who shares the same space. The word kha represents space. Sokha literally means the one who shares the space equally, or the one who is equal in that space. It's a very philosophically brilliant concept. Now when we say space again, we as modern idiots, we all think that space means a house or a building. So same space means the one who lives in our house, that is a sokha. Need not be that, because please remember, in the time of the great Mr. Patanjali, they were not necessarily people who were having a kind of a structure to call a house. They were often people who were moving in the forest, in the caves, in the Himalayas. They were moving, people who were moving. Maybe they had some temporary moments where they would stay somewhere, but then they would move along. And in fact, that is one of the very beautiful definitions of a yogin in the old days. A yogi is somebody who should not stay in a place too long. Because if you stay in a place too long, you develop attachment to that place. So that is why in the traditional time, they were always moving. The yogins were always moving. When I say yogin, I mean both yogis and yoginis, male and female. They were moving. They were not domestic people where they were present. So in such a context, what is the meaning of a sokha? Now that's why I said this is a very philosophical concept. When you say you are sharing the same space, it's very fascinating, because when you look at Vedic philosophy, we are made up of two parts, the Purusha and the Prakriti. Now in the Prakriti, nobody is the same. Everybody is different. But in the domain of Purusha, we are similar. So Sokha is somebody where there is a connection between the Purusha to Purusha. The consciousness and the other consciousness, they are connecting together. That is a Sokha. So that's why the word Brahmacharya derives its derivation from Brahmani Charati iti Brahmacharya. There is a movement from the Brahma. The Brahma is that space in our heart that is expanding. So a relationship is generally considered to be not a contract, but rather a connection between two people from the heart to heart. And when we say heart to heart, it is not emotion to emotion. It is something much more deeper, from the divine to the divine. That's why in traditional Hindu marriage that evolved later, the concept of this marriage was that the man and the woman are somehow, at that day of marriage, they are invoking the divine and the divine male and the divine female, and they are getting into a connection. So the relationship is not between these two humans, but rather between the divine in this man and the divine in this woman, and they were getting into kind of a commitment at that level. That is what is called Brahmani Charati iti Brahmacharya. After that, they move together because of this connection. They move together because of this connection. That is what is the concept, the word called Brahmacharya. Now, this is a very important aspect of yoga practices and in many spiritual practices, because when we are engaging in spiritual practices, there will be the concept of becoming alive to our potential. Now please remember, our potential, our being alive is very much represented by the Swadhisthana Chakra. Now whether people like it or not today, the concept of spirituality and sexuality are very strongly connected. That's why in the ancient times, many of the great yogis, etc., they had relationships. They had a partner, and sometimes more than one partner. And here again, there is this clarification that we have to have. The concept of brahmacharya is not celibacy. This is a wrong idea. Now, partially it's a wrong idea because there is one system of philosophy that is very popular in India, that is called as the Advaita Vedanta philosophy, which is coming from the Adi Ācārya, who is the first proponent of this philosophy. Now, this is the most famous philosophy, and what their school is saying is that they are taking a person very young to become the Shankaracharya, to become the next Ācārya, and therefore they are asked to be celibate. The thing is, in Vedic philosophy, our life is going through 4 stages. First stage is student phase. The second stage is Grihastha, the family stage. The third stage is Vanaprastha, we can call it some kind of like retirement life. And the last stage is called Sannyasa, that is the stage of surrender and the devotion to God and the devotion to afterlife. Now, in the Vedic system, 2 of these stages are considered to include sexual relationship, that is the Grihastha and Vanaprastha. Because in the second and third stage, you have to have sexual relationship. The first stage, the young student stage, they were asked to not have sexual relationship because they were asked to focus on learning and studies and development of health and vitality in the body. So that was the stage until the age of about 20 or 24 or something like that, after which the person would get married and enter the Grihastha and then his license to have a sexual relationship, his or her license to have sexual relationship gets approved. Then comes the sannyasa stage, the last stage of life, which is usually when people are a bit older and it is their last stage before they are passing away. Now, for 2 practical reasons. One may be that the person's partner may have died, which is one possibility. The other possibility is that normally body's resources are also depleted. So they said, okay, the last stage of life also sannyasa, where you are dedicating your life to spiritual aspects of life, sexual activity was not considered to be having a place. Now, as I explained in the Advaita system, when they are asking people to go through the monk stage, when they are very young, they are taken so that they are groomed to become the sannyasis. So, for the Advaitis, they are going from the brahmacharya directly to the sannyasa ashrama. Therefore, they are skipping these 2 ashramas. Therefore, they are trained not to have any sexual relationship because they are groomed to become the Ācāryas of the future of the Advaita system. So, they don't want these people to have this kind of relationship. So, partially because of the popularity of Advaita as well, somehow this wrong wrong idea of brahmacharya has been interpreted by many in our country and extended to the world. That is absolutely incorrect, because if everybody who is a practitioner has to be celibate, then nobody will be a practitioner, nobody can be a practitioner, because life will not continue. So that's why this has to be clarified. So the reason we have to go back to this idea is because spiritual practices are making us more alive in our potential, and that is very strongly connected to the Swadhisthana chakra. And this, whether you like it or not, whether you acknowledge it or not, there will be a lot of sexual energy that gets activated when you are doing spiritual practices. And this is something that we have to face, we have to discuss openly, and we have to address these issues. In traditional systems like the Advaita school or the Buddhist school, etc., they had mechanisms which included certain kind of diet and other things which would suppress these sexual urges that they were given, that they were taken, and they were in environments where these opportunities were not so easily possible. Therefore, they did not necessarily have this kind of a problem. But in modern times, we have problem because we are not living in the same kind of lifestyle today. If you are going to be in a normal day-to-day lifestyle and want to engage in these kind of practices, it makes you more and more alive. We have to at some point understand that there will be a time where we have to confront these sexual urges, and how to address with it is a very important question. Now, what is the view of Patanjali? What is the view of the Vedic system? The Vedic system is not saying do not engage in these kind of relationship. The Vedic system is saying engage with it through what is called brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means be expansive. If you are wanting to have a relationship with somebody, no problem, but let it be from the heart-to-heart connection. Please understand, in no way it says that it should be within the confines of marriage. As I said, in the traditional time, there were only sokha. And if you read certain very interesting texts like the Hatha-yoga-pradipika and other texts which are from the past, they are often talking about the concept that these kind of Hatha yogins, they had to have certain other Hatha yoginis who were open to such kind of relationship, because they would have a relationship and then they would move on. It would not be that they would be a relationship, have children, raise a family, that they would just address this reality of the moment, engage in a consensual sexual act and move on. This is recorded in many of these texts. So that's why at some point we have to address it. So how to address this is with consent and respect. That is what is the meaning of the word brahmacharya. We have to act from that place of Brahma, so that the sexual relationship is not from the physical place, but more from the divine inside our heart. It's not just a body-to-body relationship, but there is some kind of a connection to the divine in each other. It's almost like namaste, but at a much more different energetic level. So having said this, we have to understand that this must not be practiced casually. Just because you have a desire, you must not act. That is not brahmacharya. That would be anti-brahmacharya, abrahmacharya, because then you are acting from klesha, desire, not from connection. That's the very fundamental difference. Because you can have a sexual relationship from a place of desire, that becomes abrahmacharya. You can have a sexual connection with a connection, a deep connection. So this is brahmacharya. That is what Patanjali is encouraging us to have. And there are many reasons for this. There are many reasons for this, because when we are engaging in casual sexual relationship, it's not only the two bodies are exchanging, but more importantly, there is energetic interferences. The prana is going to mix. This is again consistent with the idea of the Hindu marriage that I told you, when they are invoking the male divine and the female divine. What they are doing is a small procedure that is called prana pratishtha. They make the man and the woman divine beings, so that when they are having a relationship, the two divine beings are interacting, not two physical human beings. So that was the procedure, because they don't want this to be just based on some kind of lower consciousness. They want it to be at a more sophisticated consciousness, because the energetic transferences that will happen is not always conscious. It's not always conscious, it is unconscious. So when you are having a relationship with somebody, when you don't connect from that place of the divine to the divine, the energetic interactions will not be from divine to divine, but from some other places of your prakriti. So you may carry some negative energy that your partner receives. Your partner may have some negative energy that you receive. Then you are mixing this with other people. If you have several relationships, very casual, then you are mixing the energy of one with the other. So there is a lot of energetic imbalances that will happen, and that will make you weak. Because remember, finally, strength is not muscular. Strength is always energetic. Shakti, it is called in yoga. In Hatha Yoga, they talk about prana shakti. Is energetic strength. So when you are putting your energy into too many people, your energetic interaction will become weaker. Now, even if you are with one person, if your connection is not based on the divine in each other, your energy will become weaker. You may be in partnership with somebody based on various convenient reasons. In India, people nowadays, they are not looking whether horoscope is matching or this or that. They are looking whether social class and economics are matching. They are not looking whether there is compatibility based on a heart-to-heart connection. They are looking where there is financial compatibility, social compatibility, those kind of things, religious compatibility. They are not really looking at whether the person and the two people involved are actually having a connection-based love. That's why many people, they are in a marriage but not necessarily in a relationship. This is very, very significant, and this will make people weaker. And in Western countries, probably it's not necessarily like this arranged marriage, but people are finding relationship based on which partner will keep them within their comfort zone. Which partner will not trigger your fears, your insecurities, your anxieties. And so, this kind of a relationship is what is maintained. And things change. So, the concept of brahmacharya does not come, the concept of charya only comes. There is some regular mechanical movements between people. Okay, I married this fellow, I will have to stay with this person. Oh, we have 2 children, we have 3 children. I don't care if there is a connection, because if I separate, I will have big problems. What will happen to financial security? What will happen to my children's ego? They have to shuttle here and there. So people get lost in all of this, and that's why we become weaker. Just think about how many people in modern time have autoimmune disorders. It's very simple, because our system has become weaker. Our immunity has become weaker. Don't think in India we don't have autoimmune disorders. Diabetes is a kind of autoimmune disorder. So we are soon going to become the largest country of diabetes. So why? Because we become weaker. So what Patanjali is saying is that when you have a relationship that is based on the concept of brahmacharya, expansion, not contraction. Eventually, if you start feeling more and more contracted because of the partner's existence in your life, that's not brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is expansion. You are able to be open, free, comfortable. This is what is more and more significant. Now this is not fixed. What may be Brahma in the beginning, expansive in the beginning, may change over time. So it's something we have to work. So don't think relationship should be for granted. Relationship is a full-time job. And I say full-time job, it is more full-time than your full-time job. Because a full-time job is only 40 hours a week usually. But relationship is not 40 hours a week. It's almost like 24 hours a day. Because even in sleep, there's some kind of energetic transference that is happening whether you like it or not. So that's why Brahmacharya is very significant, that we have to work on the relationship to stay in the level of the heart. Don't think it's a coincidence that the Sutra of Brahmacharya and the Sutra of Shraddha share the same words. Brahmacharya pratisthaya virya labha. Shraddha Virya Smriti Samadhi Prajna Purvaka Iteresham. This is very, very significant, because when we are talking about Brahmacharya, relationship between partners, the basis of that relationship should be based on trust. If you cannot trust your partner with everything, if the partner cannot trust you with everything, something is not right. There is no Brahmacharya in that relationship. You will become weaker. You will become weaker. Think about it. Your partner is going to a job from your city to another place for about 3 months or so. If you are always having doubts, is my partner having a relationship with somebody else? Is my partner having a relationship with somebody else? Is my partner having a relationship with somebody else? What will happen? You will become anxious, your nervous system will become weak, your health will suffer, you will become weaker. So the basis of relationship is trust. Shraddha is the basis. That's why there's another word for Shraddha that is called Vishwasa, which is another word for relationship. So it's very, very significant, because all this, if it's not there, we become weaker. Another important clarification is, many people think that Brahmacharya actually means that we should only have one relationship. That is also the concept that is brought into India by invaders. Somehow our wonderful Western friends are very puritanical, where they like to have one right solution and everything else is wrong. Whether it's a God or a science, it's a problem. And that's because most of Western culture is based on the Abrahamical religions, where there is one God, everybody else is wrong. So you bring that idea to science. One right way, every other way is wrong. Relationship, one relationship, everything else is wrong. That's not really true, because as human beings, we are not necessarily limited in this capacity to express love. This is a puritanical idea that has been brought by the invaders, and it's absolutely wrong. It's not right. You look at Yajnavalkya, the greatest yogin, he had Maitreyi and Gargi. You look at Krishna, he's got 8 wives. The point is not that you should have only one relationship. The point is you must be open about it. That is what is Brahma. If you have a secret relationship, that is wrong. That means you are cheating. You declare it openly, and if the partners are accepting of that, that's okay. But if you secretly have a relationship and your partner is not aware of that, that is not Brahmacharya. Yajnavalkya's 2 consorts were very aware of each other's presence in Yajnavalkya's life. There are many, many historical swamis and yogis and people who are considered to be great wise men, who have several relationships, including even in our modern times. We have examples in our modern times. And it's not only that one man can have many women, the reverse was also allowed in the old days. Draupadi had 5 husbands. Not 1, 5 husbands she had. But it was open, everybody was accepting. That is brahmacharya, because everything is in the open, there is no secrets. So this is something also we have to consider. But at the same time, when we are having this kind of relationship, it has to come from connection. That's the problem today, because we all like to define things based on egoistic structure. Like, if you can love 2 children, 2 dogs, 2 cats, why not 2 people? But the problem is, historically, the concept of a partner became like a possession. If you see how we identify each other, we say, I am somebody's husband, somebody will say, I am somebody's wife. Almost like they belong to somebody. That's the problem. The moment you start looking at husband or wife as property, it becomes a little bit controversial. That is why we have a lot of difficulty in this. Whereas in the time of Patanjali, when you have sokha, you belong to nobody. You existed in your independence, and the other person existed in their independence. You shared a connection, but it didn't mean that you are bound by the same set of rules that we are having today, based on legal structures. So that's why all these are tricky concepts. But again, we have to respect the times we are living in. We cannot say, okay, I want to go back and be like them. We have to respect the times we are living in. And if our country's law provides us that we have to have only one relationship, we have to accept it. It's not what we have to reject. We have to accept it. This is very important also, because we have to live in the present moment. So what applies is important. But at the same time, our reflection must be, even if we have the one-person relationship, the relationship must be from the heart to heart, the divine to the divine, not from a material, physical plane or a sensual plane. This is very, very significant, because we must not marry as a duty, or we must not have a relationship just to tick one box saying, oh yes, I am in a relationship. There has to be a very deep connection, and if it's not working, we have to start thinking about how to make it work. If it's not going to work, after trying, maybe we have to move on. Because that is brahmacharya, because you must not suffocate. Because spirituality is about expansion, not suffocation. So if sexuality is going to suffocate you, you have to reconsider that sexuality, whatever that is. There's another important aspect of this, which is brahmacharya, is being true to yourself. When is something very strong? When it is in its own essence. This is a very tricky, controversial topic also, because many people define sexuality as only something between man and woman. In modern times, this is a very big problem, because some men are not made to be with a woman. Some women are not made to be with a man. So they have to respect their sexuality and express that, then they will become strong. Because if they try to be somebody else or be in a relationship just because society is imposing them, that will make them weaker. This is also a relevant topic for today's times. Now, having said all this, what is considered as a brahmacharya? What is considered as sexuality of a lower level that we must avoid? There's a very old text that is called Daksha Samhita, which talks about 8 kinds of what you call sexual behaviors that we have to avoid. And please remember, this is coming from a very long time ago, because Daksha is the son-in-law or father-in-law of Lord Shiva. Daksha is the father of Sati, and Shiva married Sati. So Daksha is a very ancient character in our Vedic mythology. He is talking about 8 kinds of things that we have to avoid when we are talking about sexuality, inappropriate sexuality. Smaranam is the first one. Smaranam, Kirtanam, keli. Smaranam means you are thinking and remembering or imagining sexual activity with somebody. Now, if it's not appropriate, you have to not do this kind of activity. Kirtanam, to boast. Oh, I want to have this relationship with that. I want to have relationship with that person. Many times people are talking like this about movie stars. Oh, he's so handsome. I want to have this relationship with this person. I want to have a relationship with that person and things like that. That's called kirtanam, to boast. Keli. In Tamil we have this word, keli pannada, means don't tease. In the context of sexuality, keli means like flirting. Don't flirt inappropriately. If it's a person with whom you really have a connection, that's one thing. But if you are flirting with somebody just because they are attractive, just because there is a sensual desire, that is not allowed as well. That also you have to avoid. Fourth one is called prekshanam. Prekshanam means to look with desiring eyes. So let's say you are going to your party with your wife or your husband and you are finding that somebody else's husband or wife is very attractive and you are looking at them with desiring eyes. That is called prekshanam. So that also you should avoid, because you are already in a relationship and that person is in relationship with somebody else. You have to avoid that. Gukhya bhashanam, it's what men do in the men's toilet and women do in the women's toilet. Secret talking, talking secretly about, oh, you know, this, if I had this with this person, or I should have this with this person, all this wasteful talk which is secretive. That is also something that we should avoid. Secret sexual talk or talking in private with some friends and things like that. Sexual kind of talk. That is also considered inappropriate. Sankalpam, you are deciding, oh, you are deciding this is what I have to have a relationship with. To make a sankalpa, somehow or the other I have to have a relationship with that person. It was a very funny story which happened with my grandfather, and he was so shocked at this time in the 1980s, where one young American boy was coming to study with my grandfather. He was 19 or so, and he came here, and at that time there was another group of students studying with my father, of which there was one very beautiful Malaysian lady who was married to somebody else. But this young man, this teenager, he wanted to have a sexual relationship with this Malaysian lady. And he goes to my grandfather and says, "Sir, I have decided to have sexual relationship with this lady. Can I have your permission?" My grandfather was so shocked. He didn't even know what to say, because from his point of view, that lady is already married in another relationship, and this boy is saying, "I have decided to have a relationship with that person." So that is called sankalpa. You are deciding. Adhyavasaya cha. It's a little more tricky. Adhyavasaya. It's somehow attempting to have some kind of sexual activity. It's a very vulgar and cheap way that some people behave. Like, for example, when you hear these stories in the newspaper, in many places, I don't want to say it's only happening in India, but it happens in many places in the world. I am sure in Japan also I've heard these stories, where when somehow some people are traveling the train or something like that, other people are trying to grab the private parts of other passengers. That is like adhyavasa. You are attempting in a very vulgar and cheap way. That is also should be avoided. The last one is called kriya, in the sense you are acting in a sexual manner. You are actually engaging in sexual activity that is not coming from the heart-to-heart connection. It's just a lustful relationship. All these 8 activities should be avoided in the context of brahmacharya. These are called the Ashtadha Brahmacharya. There are 8 types of Brahmacharya that we should practice. All these should be avoided. All these should be avoided because that will make you weaker. That's not appropriate. At the same time, we have to act in a heart-to-heart connection, and then you will get strength. But there's a hidden meaning behind this as well. There's a hidden meaning behind this as well, because what I have seen in my own experience of life and seeing this through the experiences of many students who share very deep parts of their life with me when they are talking to me about their experiences, it takes some amount of strength to already act with Brahmacharya. When you want to relate with a person heart to heart, you need strength. Having a relationship from body to body, you don't need strength, you only need desire. But when you have to act from a deep place of connection, you have to connect with your intimacy, your intimate self. Because you will reach a vulnerable place in this experience. So, even though Patanjali is saying Brahmacharya Pratisthayam Viryalabha, to have this concept of connection to Brahmacharya, we already need strength. To have a sexual relationship in today's time especially is very easy. Especially if it is a desire-based sexuality, it's very easy. But to have a sexual relationship, to have an intimate relationship at a level of the Brahma to Brahma, the consciousness to consciousness, that requires strength. Weakness will not allow you to have that. That's why when people are having their defensive wall with their partners, where they are not really revealing their true self, true nature, this is a problem. That's why our immune system becomes very weak and we have immune system problems. Many people who are not able to be intimate with themselves suffer from immune disorders very easily today. That's why I'm saying it requires already some amount of strength, because you have to be very vulnerable, very open in actually having this kind of relationship. And vulnerability is not a weakness. It's a great strength. That's why this sutra is so significant, because in our experience of spirituality, when we are going further in our path, at some point we have to confront our vulnerabilities. And one of the best places where we can confront this vulnerability is intimate relationship, and that is why this has a space in the Yogasutra. It's not absence of sexual activity, it is the presence of appropriate sexual activity that is based on consent, that is based on respect, and that is based on our openness in our heart, lightness in our heart. That is why this sutra has a great significance, and it is part of the yama as a basis. If we can't follow many of this, there will be problems in practicing the other angas of yoga. And this is why many yoga practitioners today, things don't work, because there is not the appropriate and healthy sexuality as part of their lifestyle. There is not the place for ahimsa, there is not the place for satyam, there is not the place for asteyam, there is not the place for brahmacharya. This makes all other practices useless. And this is greater in certain puritanical countries who think they are free, but actually they are very trapped. And that is why in these countries yoga is the worst, in its worst place. It's just as a physical exercise, and they should not even have the right to call it yoga, because they don't understand the holistic nature of yoga. Yoga is not coming from puritanical origins, it's actually coming from a pure place, not puritanical origins. But people don't know the difference, especially in such kind of countries. We have to confront our sexuality at some point in our spiritual journey, whether we like it or not, whether we acknowledge it or not. Because when we talk about potentials coming out, potentials are coming from seeds. Now the seeds of plants are fruits and vegetables which have the seeds, which we are dealing with, the flowers which we are dealing with, celebrating that. So we are enjoying those things, but somehow we have a bad relationship to our seeds, which is part of our sexuality, and that is very big problem because of misinterpretation and certain influences that want to control society and make these kind of things bad. That has to be removed because that is not appropriate, that is not healthy. We become weaker if we don't have an appropriate and healthy relationship with sexuality. So brahmacharya is not lack of sexuality, not inappropriate sexuality, but rather healthy sexuality that is appropriate, full of respect, full of light, and full of vulnerability. That is what is the essence of the sutra. Brahmacharya pratisthayam virya labha. Namaste, friends.